Many Southern Baptists count on GuideStone for health insurance, retirement, and more. After 25 years of leadership at GuideStone, O.S. Hawkins retired in 2022, and Hance Dilbeck has been named the new president and CEO of the ministry that's so important to so many in the Southern Baptist family. In this episode of Baptist Press this week, we get an opportunity to meet Hance Dilbeck and learn about what he sees as he looks forward for GuideStone. Well, Dr. Dilbeck, thanks so much for taking a few minutes with us on Baptist Press this week.
It's good to be with you. I appreciate the work you're doing, Brandon, and looking forward to spending some time talking about GuideStone.
Yeah, thank you. Before we do that, why don't you tell us just a little bit about you, about your family, about your ministry? Maybe folks are just starting to get to know you there in the role at GuideStone. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my wife, Jill, and I are both from Oklahoma. We met and married when we were students at Oklahoma Baptist University. I grew up in a small town, a small church there, and God had called me to be a pastor, and we got married, graduated, and I started pastoring churches. And so I served the Lord in Oklahoma from the late 80s until 2017 as a pastor, first in some small churches, and most of that time at Quail Springs Baptist Church in Oklahoma City. We've got 3 sons and 8 grandchildren. We got a ninth grandchild on the way. Will be born just after the first of the year. And one of our sons is an attorney, another was a banker, the other was an engineer. They all live in Oklahoma City, where they were raised. In 2017, I became the executive director for Oklahoma Baptist, and then in 2021 came into this role.
You know, it's interesting over the last few years to be able to observe pastors who have gone into the leadership roles there in the entities and in state conventions, similar path. You know, Dr. Chitwood had a similar path, I guess, in some respects. Dr. Ezell obviously was a pastor, and then he became an entity leader. And so it's similar work, and it's very different work at the same time. What are some things that interest you about the role there at GuideStone when you first began that process?
Yeah, I think you make it a good observation, and I think it's very important that we have people who have developed a shepherd's heart come into these administrative leadership roles. There's nothing that quite shapes a man like pastoring a church, shepherding the flock of God. And so I'm grateful that God used that role to shape my perspective and my approach to leadership, and to give me a deep understanding of the needs, the strengths and weaknesses of the church, and challenges of being a pastor. As far as the GuideStone role itself, I've discovered that really my calling to GuideStone had to do with a burden that was the very same burden that the founder of GuideStone had. William Lunsford, who is our founder, initiated this work out of a burden for pastors. He wanted to see pastors finish well. He had a burden for pastors who were reaching retirement years without the financial means to retire, and felt like Southern Baptist could do something about that. And that really was the founding vision that started the Relief and Annuity Board of the Southern Baptist Convention, which became GuideStone. And in my latter years of pastoring and through my years of being executive director of Oklahoma, I found myself with that same burden for pastors. We got too many pastors that really don't take care of themselves. There are too many churches that aren't taking care of pastors, and because of that, sometimes there's a lack of resiliency that allows guys to finish well and to get through the challenges of serving as a shepherd of the flock of God. And so as the GuideStone opportunity presented itself, I realized that that's what God was calling, preparing me for, and grateful for the opportunity. I think the GuideStone work, at its core, it's a stewardship. There's a lot of people that count on GuideStone doing well and conducting business in a professional manner, taking care of the assets that we manage. But along with that stewardship comes a platform, which is an opportunity for me to speak to pastors and to churches about the importance of financial security and resiliency for ministry over the long haul.
You know, I've heard you speak obviously right now and then in some previous opportunities about finishing well. And so that sounds to me like something that you're really wanting to focus on. There's probably some very practical things that you have in mind to try to implement through GuideStone. What are some things that you're hoping to implement? It's been a transition process with Dr. Hawkins, but now that's behind you. What are some things that you are looking forward to at GuideStone?
Yeah, at GuideStone, we work to enhance financial security and resilience for those who serve Christ, because we want to see every servant of Christ finish well. Of course, wellness is about more than financial security. For somebody to serve well and finish well, they got to take care of their physical health. They got to take care of themselves emotionally. They got to maintain their relationships so that their marriage and family relationships are strong. But financial security is a part of that. We know through research that if someone's financial needs are met, if they're managing their financial household well, if they have good insurance, if they're planning for retirement, then it builds resiliency in their lives so that when the hard times come, they can bounce back and endure over the long haul. Of course, finishing well taps into that, some great New Testament themes. You have the Apostle Paul saying, "I've finished the course," right? And we know that the race that God called us to run as servants of Christ is not a sprint; it's a marathon. Paul says to Timothy, "Pay careful attention to yourself and to the doctrine. Persevere in these things." And so that idea of persevering, of staying after the work over the long haul, being not only about staying doctrinally sound, but also paying attention to yourself. And of course, that's a challenge that comes right on the heels of the qualification statements of 1 Timothy 3 that have a lot to do with integrity of life, with relationships, and with financial discipline. And so those who are called to take care of the household of God are also called to take care of their own household. And GuideStone is here to help people with that.
Yeah, that's great.
So we're committed to that, excited about helping in some tangible ways, helping guys focus on key points in the journey. You know, a lot of times people aren't thinking about insurance and retirement, but they do think of them at key points in their own journey. When they have children, when they become empty nesters, when they hit certain age marks in their lives, we want to come alongside them to help them pay attention to how they're progressing. And one of the specific things we're really excited about is compensation advocacy. We want to help our pastors advocate for their own financial benefits, but also we want to advocate on their behalf toward our churches and come alongside our state convention partners in helping our churches understand how they need to be taking care of their pastors, their ministers, their families financially so that they can serve well.
That all sounds really helpful. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Dr. Dilbeck, we'd like to learn about a couple of things. First of all, about maybe some things that people don't know about GuideStone, and then get a quick update on mission dignity. So stay with us for more from Dr. Dilbeck on Baptist Press this week.
A decade ago, more than 7,800 messengers joined in unison in New Orleans to elect Fred Luter as president of our convention.
Fire-breathing, miracle-working pastor of Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, Pastor Fred Luter.
It is my privilege to declare Fred Luter the new president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
To God be the glory for the things that he has done. God bless you. I love you.
In June, messengers from across the country will once again come together on the bayou to celebrate how God is using us to carry out the Great Commission. New Orleans is truly a unique city, boasting one of the greatest culinary experiences in America. The city is rich in history, tradition, and Great Commission partnerships. Join us in New Orleans on June 11th through 14th for the 2023 Annual Meeting and Pastors Conference. Let's celebrate how God is working in and through churches across the U.S. and around the world to accomplish the Great Commission.
Thanks for joining us for Baptist Press this week. Our guest is Hance Dilbeck, the new president and CEO of GuideStone. Dr. Dilbeck, one of the things that we wanted to follow up with in the second segment is about something that people don't know about GuideStone. That could be something that you've learned over these beginning months there at GuideStone. What are just one or two things that people ought to know that maybe they don't know?
That's a great question, because as we've mentioned earlier, I was pastor for 30 years. I've been a GuideStone participant that long, and I thought I knew a lot about GuideStone, but man, I had no idea. And when you ask me that question, I think of a lot of things. I think of the fact that GuideStone does not receive any cooperative program money. A lot of people don't realize that. Since 2008, we haven't received any CP money, and we're delighted to stand on our own financially and to be able to shift those resources back toward the Southern Baptist global mission effort. I think of the fact that GuideStone mutual funds are the largest Christian mutual fund system in the world, and we're proud of that. But I suppose the one thing I would say that just has really been an eye-opener for me is that over 450 people work at GuideStone. And I wish Southern Baptist could see these people in action. I mean, we have such high caliber financial services professionals. We've got MBAs and CFPs, and CPAs, and we've even got a few PhDs. These are people who can and who have worked at the highest level in the financial services industry. They've worked for the big boys, but they're here because they want to have an impact for the cause of Christ and are passionate about serving those who serve the Lord. So it's exciting to see these uber talented people bring their skill set into play for the kingdom by serving at GuideStone. And it's my honor really to work with them.
That's good. Well, we asked for one and we got at least three. So I guess that's a pretty good, that's a good return on our investment there. Yeah. Over the last few years, folks have really, it seems to me at least, folks have really started paying attention to mission dignity. So give us a little bit of an update on mission dignity, not only the impact of it, but just where it stands and maybe some hopes that you have for these next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, mission dignity is really the heartbeat of GuideStone, and it really goes back to our founders' vision. You know, we were founded as the relief and annuity board of the Southern Baptist Convention, and so along with helping pastors and churches and institutions plan and prepare for the retirement of those who are serving them, we're also here to give relief to those who find themselves in their retirement years without adequate financial resources. And that's what mission dignity is all about. So we are this year helping over 2,600 retired Southern Baptist ministers and their spouses. More time than not, it's a widow of a pastor who don't have financial means to support themselves. We come alongside and support them with a monthly stipend, with an expense grant to cover unexpected needs. And it makes a huge difference in their lives. Not only does it help them bounce back from adversity, but it also reminds them that their service is significant and the people of God care about them. We remember their service. In fact, we don't call those, Chet, works charity. We call them honorariums because we believe that that those who labor are worthy of that double honor. And so everyone here at GuideStone is passionate about mission dignity, and Southern Baptists have shown they really care about it. You know, our people from all across the Southern Baptist Convention give faithfully. Not very many large gifts, mostly small, monthly, consistent gifts that year by year amount to between 10 and $11 million that go to support those faithful servants of the Lord in their latter years. I think it's something that not only honors those recipients, but I think it honors Christ when we take care of those people that way.
Yeah, that's a good word. Well, we sure appreciate you spending a few minutes with us here at Baptist Press this week. Thank you for the work that you're doing and so many others are doing there at GuideStone.
We're delighted to serve. We appreciate you, Brandon, and all the work that Baptist Press does.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for Baptist Press this week. Make sure to visit us at baptistpress.com to find all this week's stories. And while you're there, once you sign up for our morning and afternoon email, you can subscribe at baptistpress.com.